Hey everyone, my name is Rohit Matthew. I'm an Auth0 ambassador, and today I'm going to be taking you through how to create an Auth0 action, or more specifically, an Auth0 action to implement multi-factor authentication. Auth0 actions are serverless functions created by Auth0 that run inside Auth0's cloud environment. And essentially, these are serverless functions that enable developers like us to be able to use our own business logic and enhance the login workflow that is present for our users. So if you see, I've already created two users over here. One's the admin user who's already got a role called admin role assigned to it, and a test user. As you can see over here, I've already created an admin role and kept beforehand, as well as the two users I want. I'm going to quickly take you to the actions workflow and then ensure that there's no actions currently in place. So if I go to actions and the login workflow, you'll see that there is no Auth0 action currently in place for my workflow. I've also set up a simple single page application. I already kept it in place. So let me just quickly go and show you the login. I'm going to log in with the admin user. And as you can see, I've been logged in with the admin user. I can go to the profile section and see details regarding my admin user. And this is essentially the token that's created for the login. So you can see that this login workflow works. Now let's quickly go into the crux of the whole thing, which is creating an Auth0 action, right? So I'm going to create an Auth0 action to enable multi-factor authentication, right? So if you go and click on the plus over here and then click on build custom action, is going to enable you to do workflow to create an Auth0 action. So I'm going to start by naming my action as multi-factor authentication for role. And that's essentially what we want to build today. I'm going to take the trigger as login or post login, and I'm going to take the runtime as node 16. I'm going to start with the creation process. Now, like I mentioned before, you get a simple Monaco based code editor which enables you to be able to, it's simply the equivalent of VS Code. So essentially, you should be in a much more familiar environment that you're used to working with. You can see over here they've already got a simple function in place for execution post login. Now, in terms of the code for this specific use case, I'm actually just gonna quickly copy the code out and add it here, and then as you can see, I've added the code over here, so you should be able to just work with that. Essentially, if you see the code is a very simple code snippet. It says that for an authorization event that is present, so I'm just doing a simple null check and I'm checking if the authorizations roles array includes the role called admin, which I had created previously. In that scenario, I want to enforce multi-factor authentication. So I'm telling Auth0 to enable multi-factor authentication. I'm saying they can enable any form of multi-factor authentication that's there. So I can, as you can see, Monaco editor, very simple. You have version history. There's that. As is the first draft of it, there's no real version history. I'm gonna save the draft and keep. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to test it. So if you can see over here, you can see that I have my authorization and the payload that gets sent to Auth0 for the login. You can see that there's authorization, and inside authorization the roles array is essentially empty. So I'm going to test it and see, and we're going to see that there is no action that is enabled from Auth0 side. Right now, if I go and add an authorization role called as admin and now run it, I'm going to get a result that asks to enforce multi-factor authentication. So essentially, this is a simple way for us to be able to test this flow before we send it to production, right? So this flow works correct. Let's go ahead and deploy it. So as you can see the action is up to date. It means that my flow is being deployed. I can now go ahead back to my flows, and I can see over here this is the flow that I want, and I can essentially go to custom and pick up the flow I want, which is multi-factor authentication for a role, right? So I'm going to drag and drop it over here, which means that once the user has logged in, I want to check whether multi-factor authentication has to be enforced based on the role, and if so, it does that, and then the token is issued and given back to my application, right? So I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Cool. So it looks like we're applied, right? So I'm gonna go here. This is back to my application. I'm gonna go log in, and I've already done this. So let me first log in with a test user. And if you see for the login of the test user, it just directly brings me to the profile. Did not ask me for multi-factor authentication, nothing, right? Let's just quickly go and review the user section where I have the roles. And for the roles, here you can see that there's only a single user, that's my admin user, right? So now I'm gonna go ahead and log in as the admin user. So it's prompted me to pick up multi-factor authentication, and as in doing this for the first time with this user, it's provided me with a QR code for which I can sort of enable multi-factor authentication with like authenticator application. So you could use something like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, etc. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using Google Authenticator and just quickly authenticating myself. So I've scanned it. So I've scanned the code and I'm just got the code. So I'm going to enter the code. And as you can see, post the code being entered, multi-factor authentication was in place, and I have essentially been logged in as an admin. And my token had been created with this data present inside my token, right? Let's just quickly go out and just check that process once more. I'm going to do test at the rate of test.com. And as you can see that the test user essentially logs in again without any issue, and the admin user would then log in without any issue as well. Uh, Essentially this is what it is. Auth0 actions are serverless functions that we can essentially use to enhance our workflow. Quick simple easy example for you to understand how Auth0 action works is the multi-factor authentication example that I've just provided. If you want to try out more, Auth0 also provides you with different triggers and already existing code snippets that you can use for this purpose. So do go ahead, try it out. It's an exciting real tool that's there that we can use to enhance our workflows, and I look forward to showing you something more the next time onwards. Thank you.